Let's go to work, 'cause I'm tripping. Gotta work on myself, 'cause I'm falling apart. Please wake me up, 'cause I'm slipping. Can't fight this feeling off no more. But I'm not going to give up and fall. Rise above the door, meet all my challenges and search for my strength. I defeat them all, I'm never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again, yeah. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go. Start to believe in myself and life will be sweet again, so sweet again. Above it all, meet all my challenges and search for my strength. I defeat them all, I never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again, again. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go, let it go. And I start to believe in myself, and life will be sweet again.
Hello there, everybody. Happy Monday. Ancestral here. How come that didn't come on? Oh God, just spilled water. It's okay. It was a small cup. I'm not muted. Happy to see everybody. Good to see everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. There we go. Just got back from traveling. Hope you guys are doing good on this fine Monday. I'm still getting organized here. Just wrote a story, just hit publish. Probably should have proofed it more. Witness is my only editor. As soon as I hit publish, I start going, oh wow, this sucks. I should change this. And I want to thank you for letting me jack into your Witness and secrete the power of you as an editor. Yeah, you didn't know I was doing that, did you? Let's talk about today. I was called a cunt. It's been the first time, been a while. I don't know if I've ever been called a cunt. It's pretty cool. Jamie, thank you for calling me a cunt. I appreciate that. I get called a lot of names. I have a lot of abrasive interactions, and ultimately, I want you to know I'm sorry. It's not something I'm proud of. It's also, though, I never really am able to know what it is that's going to cause someone to react this way. In my mind, I know people are going to react a certain way, but I'm usually surprised about exactly why. This time it was this. I said this. This is short. You can close your eyes. I'm going to read you something. Love is contagious. It's in the body, but no one can prove it. Love has no x-ray. Love has no gain of function. Love has never been isolated in a lab. Love is a psyop. Anyone who thinks love is real hasn't woken up to the truth. Imagine the people who argue against love. You would feel sorry for them too. I posted this on Substack, and like 10 minutes later, Jamie called me content blocked me. Jamie runs a there is no virus, and everyone who thinks there is bad. There's a lot of those people out there. Harsh Truths was the last one that I engaged with. It's been very disappointing because I can't find someone to actually discuss this thing, have a dialogue. And it's kind of related to Mark Passio because I talk shit about Mark Passio sometimes. I say that he's angry and fascistic, and that's not a personal attack, but I think that it would be really hard for you not to hear that as a personal attack, especially if you've never been an icon like Mark has. And even though I try and lubricate this stuff by telling you, look, I talk about people that stimulate me, and sometimes they stimulate me in the opposite direction. And I just feel that Mark's views on natural law could use some transcendentalism, just a little bit of injection of American philosophy, just really commonly known elements of philosophical thought that are often missed. It's not just Mark. I see every talking head that goes on about natural law, I think really does miss the primal lessons of transcendentalism. This is American philosophy. It's very special. I'm not just saying that because I'm from America. It's American philosophy. This is your pragmatism. This is the idea that truth is what works. Truth is not from the monad. We do not pull truth from the template of God's asshole and say, this is the primal truth and everything fits around it. Instead, we struggle to find what works, right? We struggle to walk. We struggle to run. We struggle to find this formula. I hope this doesn't... Okay, good. I think actually I've even got this maybe even queued up here, unless I got rid of it. But we find this... This is utilitarian. This is pragmatism. This is American philosophy. And I know you guys have seen this, but this video is showing you that truth is not taught in a formulaic. Well, anyway, it's gone now. But I'll play it again if you need it. But truth is not taught in a primal, this is how you walk and everyone must conform. Truth is discovered. Truth is found through trial and error. This is American philosophy. There is no truth in American philosophy. Okay? There's never reaching of the perfection, because the moment you reach the perfection, you lose the entire thing. You cannot afford to have perfection inside transcendentalism. Transcendentalism is a verb. It's the moving from gravity into levity. It is the grasping at straws from the mind itself. There's no universal pull cord. There's no emergency switch that straps you to the chair of truth, and you don't have to worry because you found truth now. And I think that's what we need. Until we embrace American philosophy, we're going to be suffering from the fascism of majoritarianism. Majoritarianism is the idea that there's only one way to live, and it's through natural law, and you must do this and you must do that. Or all taxes are evil, or all taxes are good. All vaccines are evil, all vaccines are bad. And all of us dismiss our own power as magicians to climb aboard the trellis of all these different instruments, of all these playthings that are in the playground, and use them to find ourselves. See, Majoritarianism requires that perfection be known, and it's not. A natural law is not a tenet that's built into the world. No, entitlement is natural law. And entitlement is very disturbing because entitlement is something that is quite honestly more profound than what you and I are able to drink from or even understand. We think that civilization is the opposite of entitlement, but civilization is the manipulation of entitlement before it's been sown. It is the claiming of entitlement before one feels that they are fully entitled by it. We end up with illusions that our leaders would lie to us because they have to. We end up with this ideal that everyone at the top would have to be decrepit and evil, but everyone at the bottom would be poor. This is what civilization does because you and I lack individual entitlement. You and I are still growing ego, and we're growing ego in a garden that despises ego. I'm not muted, thank goodness. This is the first time I checked. We're growing ego in a garden that despises evil, that despises ego. And so I'm sorry because some of you have found me through Mark Passio. Some of you have found me through all kinds of different names. I don't even want to list them all because I don't exclude or include any of them. I believe all of these things are jungle gems. All of these things are necessary props that you need. I tell you my personal interactions with certain people, quite frankly, because I just have a big mouth. I find that if I hide these things, I'm not pollinating the world. And so sometimes I want people to know how certain people have behaved. The antivirus crowd has behaved horribly when it comes to engaging in dialogue, especially with someone like me, who, quite frankly, has done a lot to help them along the way initially. I have entertained these ideas and presented them in very big ways to provide this avenue, this coffee shop, this salon for this discussion to take place. And there are renegades on both sides of the extreme that are employing lies to cover up their own stink. It's difficult for me not to say something. What's more is that I'm saddened that because I do say something, it could be misinterpreted that I'm saying that you should not be at that extreme right now, that you should not go to that place, because I've been to that place. I think it's important. I think the only way you are going to find torque in your belief about whatever it is you believe is to go to that place. This is what builds the ego. This is what builds, therefore, entitlement. This is what builds self-love. This is what fulfills your obligation to regulate everyone else around you by finding genuine, authentic placebo, in yourself. Let me get this presentation up. Happy Monday, all. So forgive me for being harsh. I don't like being called cunt. I don't like being dismissed. I don't like watching people say that no one will challenge me, and I've challenged them. I don't like that there's always an excuse why someone can't refute what I've said. It's always an excuse. The latest has been because it's already been refuted, which is just like blowing my fucking mind that people are saying that, and they can't even provide a link to where that has already been refuted. It has not been refuted. You're running away because you were a coward. And I'm telling the audience that you're a coward, not because I hate you. I'm telling the audience you're a coward because you need to learn. You are parading your fascism through the street, insisting that every single person come out and prop up your fucking belief, whether it be in natural law or whether it be in your huge disdain for vaccines, and you are scaring people that need the egoic power to find themselves. You are making it more awkward for them. Ultimately, you're providing more medicine, but you're so fucking retarded, I cannot help but say something about it. So excuse me. I realize it's harsh. I realize it's bad. You should have seen how I used to talk about Republicans. You should have seen how I used to talk about Democrats. I have zero respect for them now. I have respect for USA. And I am scrying. And I'm a cunt. Go figure. These things are related. What if I was to tell you that the deeper you scry into things, the more likely someone's going to call you cunt? kind of works that way. Not only do I know it works that way, I've seen it work that way, and if you watched me, you've seen it work that way too, and I'm fine with it. I only need one friend. I only need one of you to get my hilariously deep joke about Constantine. Yesenia, I'm looking at you. You saved me. No one got that joke. It was killing me. I wanted to explain, but I realized the more I explained, the more I made it worse. But Yesenia was there like a fucking beacon, a lighthouse, saying, I fucking think that's a funny joke. And it saved me from schizophrenia. I'm not being overly dramatic here. Schizophrenia is a social disease. All of us would suffer from schizophrenia if we did not find someone who's tacking the extremes, who's going to these places and trying to settle these things. I know more people got it, but Buchanan was the first, so I'm giving her props for that. Sorry, just deal with it. Wand of Hathor. Hey, Stretch, good to see you. Wand of Hathor in the house. This is AI image. Please don't think this is from a museum. It's just the best I could do because I was writing this article. If you don't know my articles on Substack, you can check it out. You can read more about it. In this article, though, I do want to cover these things. Sorry, this slide looks ugly because there's a lot of words, but just look at the red words. Just look at those. Okay? I want you to know that the reason why you're going to have a hard time saying vaccines are blah, vaccines are blank. This is an extreme. It's an extreme that's brought on by a majoritarianism. The majoritarianism is what the collective does to prop up their ego because they're ashamed of it. They're ashamed of their ego because they don't have enough strength because their butt crack is showing. Their butt crack is showing because this is how you build ego. You have to keep showing your butt crack and you have to keep pulling yourself up. You have to keep pulling your pants up. And the more you show your butt crack, the more you're able to pull your pants up. And the more you do that, the stronger your ego becomes. And in order to understand this, we got to really jump far ahead, which is why I published an article directly when I published this live stream, because I need you to see this from different angles. I want you to read my words, not now in the live stream, but later on, if you don't mind. Find that article. Hopefully someone in chat can paste that for us. But find that and consider it, please. Not because you need to, not because the world's burning, but because I love you. That's it. That's the only reason why. Love is contagious, and I am infecting you. I am licking your brain with my tongue. I am sticking my tongue into your ear to infect you with this worm that ego is everything, that the placebo that you call immunity. And some people are saying, there's no such thing as immunity. Those people are lying to you. They're pulling words from the butt crack of other people that they do not even know and serving to you in a taco so they will feel better about themselves. Stop eating at Taco Bell. There's a reason why that's the only restaurant that survived into idiocracy. So there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. With all that aside, trying to be calmer here. There are 3 distinct elements in vaccine magic, and because of these 3 distinct elements, you may not notice them, which is why it's very difficult for you to have a singular thought about vaccines. Please consider this. Over the last 10 years, I've worked off and on, mostly off, I'd say, over 10 years, but definitely a few years just solid every single day, working in a wildlife rescue hospital, performing surgeries on animals, tending to things. Almost all of them are HBC. The fact that we have an acronym for HBC, hit by car, shows you how messed up society is. This does not make me an expert, but it also means that I've seen some things, that's all. And me seeing things actually does invoke belief, because seeing is a limbic input which you can record memories off of. So with all that said, I'll say this really important thing. When an animal and humans are animals, when an animal reaches a certain level of dehydration, it may become necessary to subcutaneously inject fluid under the skin. And typically you do this in their hindquarter. You'd inject it right here. And you do that because the patient, the animal, is too weak to drink. And because they cannot drink, you cannot rely on their gut lumen to absorb the fluid as well as if you could just inject it subcutaneously. This is a big deal. It's not something that's trivial, nor does it promise that every single time, any time a needle is used, that it's good. Stop being a fascist. Stop being a majoritarian. I need you to see, though, that the injection of a needle into the skin is not necessarily evil. This is very difficult to grasp if you've been following the anti-crowd, because the anti-crowd is simply going to clump all these things into the same cart and say, bring out your dead, and it's just full of babies. It's just full of babies. A lot of bathwater, but mostly babies, chunky babies. This is not how you're going to learn anything. So I want you to understand that when you insert something into the skin, there is actually a therapeutic value to doing this. It does not mean that now you can insert everything into your skin. When you're inserting fluids such as saline, you are giving your body something that, quite frankly, it kind of fucking needs right now if you've reached that point to where subcutaneous injection is necessary. There is intermuscular injection. There is subcutaneous injection. Can you see the difference? One is right below the skin. And as I learned that I wanted to see the bubble of saline build up in the rough of their skin. I actually wanted that, because if you suck it too far, you're sticking it into their muscle, and that would be intramuscularly. You want this subcutaneous insertion. So this is a different level, isn't it? You're not actually sticking the needle all the way inside their muscle. You're just sticking it subcutaneously underneath the epidermis, right? Or underneath what you would call the epidermis, I should say. It's actually much more complex than that. So with that said, this is not me trying to talk you anything. I'm trying to talk you out of fascism. That's all, okay? The fact is that there is something psychologically powerful about a needle. You probably thought I was just going to talk about the science. No, I'm talking about the psychological effect. If you want to know how this works on animals, you need to know that animal consciousness is in the zodiac. Animal consciousness is in the zodiac, meaning that the self is the zodiac itself. If you're a bull, you're the entire zodiac. You're just focused around on the part where the bull is. Your identity is one of the animals. It is one of the creatures. But one of those creatures is only known because it's one part of something else. You're one of 12 cranial nerves. Angelic consciousness is the consciousness of ego. It is the idea that you are a singular individual. You have an I nature to you. Not that angels have I nature, but this is the archetype that gets you closer. We start to anthropomorphize ourselves, something that did not exist in cave art for a long time. Why? Because we did not have an ego. We had to grow it. We had to grow it under mushrooms and in caves. We've had to grow this thing, and we're so embarrassed by it that we attack it today. We insist that it's the problem. We insist it's the cause of all war. We insist it's the cause of all sexism. We insist it's the cause of every form of prejudice that could ever be. There are people in the truth movement who will tell you that ego is killing all of us, and if you would just kill your ego, that you too would be safe and that we would live free. And these people are just wiping their ass with feel-goods and trying to smear it on you to make you feel better about it, so they can feel better about it. This is not a good place, and I get mad at those people because I want us to be strong like Bull, strong like Hathor. As I said, I'm an infection. I'm trying to infect society with a love of ego. I am guilty as charged. I am sticking my tongue into every ear, just as I said. It's gross. I'm a wet willy times a million. And it's because I've read things. Does it mean I know things? No. But I've read so much that the torque has caused me to show my ass crack so many times in public, as I fight with doctors, as I fight with pharmacy representatives, as I fight with someone, actually Paul Offit once, that all these people that I've interacted with before have caused me to see both sides of this really, really crazy thing. And all I see is fascism. All I see is majoritarianism. And no one has really broken down why vaccine is such a specific kind of medicine. There are three parts. Sorry, I'm drifting here. There are three parts. One is the psychological. It is 1,000 times more potent to stick a needle in your skin than it is to eat a root, to chew a leaf, to brew a tea, to apply a poultice. To place the powder of the root into a pill and to color the pill in two different colors and have those two colors dispensed by a dude in a gray beard is still not as powerful as a subcutaneous injection. There is something about poking something into your torus that invokes massive change. I said change. I did not say healing. I did not say harming. I said change. It is a pivot magic. It is the most powerfully potential pivot magic that we have found to date. I think there will be more, but this is it. Okay, this is one of the best. And when we measure the placebo of saline, when we take a complete sugar pill and we dispense something from a sugar pill in all these different forms, whether it be plant, sugar, root, pill, powdered pill, prescription pill, capsule, two-sided capsule with logo. I'm not making this up. Powdered pill with imprinted logo versus powdered pill with outer coating that has a screen printed pill logo on it. The packaging, whether it's glossy or not, all of these things are trumped by a needle. By a needle. Why? What is the psychological magic of the needle? And I don't want to answer that. I just want you to keep it in mind. Keep it in mind. Second, ancestral magic. Ancestral magic, yes. Hathor is the oldest magic your ancestors have ever known. You have been invigorated by the magic of Hathor, by the bull, since the dawn of fucking thunder. I'm cussing, sorry. Baal is thunder. Baal is the birth of Hathor. You were first intimidated by Baal. Then you start to go to the Egyptian priests. You start to see that they see colors you don't see at Dendara. You go to Luxor. You walk yourself through the University of Man, the Temple of Man itself. You go into the Holy of Holies, and suddenly you're not terrified of Hathor anymore. You think Hathor is a fucking bomb. You worship Hathor. You're like, Hathor, thank you for your gifts. And she's like, hey, no problem. No problem at all. So ancestrally, you've been charged with the magic of the bull for centuries. There is no more potent form of pivot than, hey, I just injected the cow god into your skin. What are you going to do now? You're going to do whatever you want to do deep down inside. The question is, do you trust your magician? That's why you call me a cunt. If you do not trust your magician, you're going to have to call me a name. You're going to have to insist that I am the deepest problem that we ever have right now, and if you could just shut me up, we could go back to insisting that vaccines are the panacea or the eugenesia of all things that we've ever seen. So call me names. It doesn't change this triple threat that we have. The ancestral magic of the cow is real, and it is one of 3 ingredients. One of 3. Now, I told you placing something inside your body is 1. The ancestral magic of the cow is 2. And I think probably the one that is least understood, simply because where we are in science, we do not understand the technology of metal. When you study the albedo shifts of color, when you were building an albedo tree of all the substances that exist in the world, yes, someone's fucking done that. You're looking at the elemental reflective quality of all things, and metals have one very unique property. Very unique. Metals are reflective. The anatomical alignment of metals reflects light. Not only does it reflect light, it takes light, it does something to it, and then it spits it out again. Gold purifies this light in the hue of AU, right? It filters it in some way. Copper reflects light, but it changes it just a bit. Silver is one of the most reflective, clean lights that there is. Metals are something we do not understand because we cannot see behind the veil. These are triangles. They are cold. That means we cannot see the other side. And in that, we are stuck learning a very, very new skill, which is that metal is something different. Quite frankly, don't ask me what it is, because I do not know. I think metal is supposed to be magical because it's a key ingredient to what we're talking about today, which is this placebo. These are 3 things. If you were to inject someone with a plastic straw, vaccines would be very different. The oral vaccine, not very effective. It's not. James, no vaccines are effective. Okay, yeah. Okay, mister, there's no such thing as placebo. Okay, I forgot. You think that you use placebo when it helps you, and then you take it away when it doesn't. You'll say there's no such thing as placebo when it's vaccines. All it does is kill you because all it is poison. But then if you go out for a walk, you're all about, hey, let me read this thing about placebo. Let's do that now. Let's have that. You can't have it both ways. Actually, you're going to try and have it both ways. And someone like me is going to lick your brain and you're going to fall. You're going to call me a cunt. And it's fine. You know why? Because I'm used to it. I'm used to it. There are three. This is a trinity. The Sword of Hathor is a trinity. Guys, throughout history, I know I've said this before, but it's important. We are so obsessed with this metal. We are so obsessed with the reflection of metal that even right now when we're sticking needles in us, that needle is a piece of metal. And that piece of metal is really no different than a dagger. It's no different than an arrowhead. It's no different than a sword. It's no different than all the other metal that we've been projecting into each other in the past, whether it be cannonball, whether it be a giant steel plane. We throw metal into each other, quite frankly, because it makes us stronger. It makes us maladapt. We start to become poisoned by the lead until we grow this different kind of immunity to it. We develop a deeply, deeply complex system of intersomatic biome, let's call it that, the symbiotic conglomerate of demons that are running around looking for the reflective things that have made it inside of us, and that this has caused us to create this giant army that we call the immune system. Some of you have got this so bad, that you've fallen for this so bad, that you've been told because of people who call you cunt if you don't, that not only is there not vaccines, but there's no such thing as DNA. And then when you're on the slippery slope of there's no such thing as DNA, you start to think that medicine cannot be poison, and that there's nothing positive about what poison does. But if you look at the definition of evolution, it tells you to look at the definition of maladaptation. And when you look at the definition of maladaptation, the definition tells you things were fine and then they weren't, so then I changed. Things were fine and then they weren't, so then I changed. Everyone. Things were fine until they weren't, and I changed. Which means if you want your body to change, if you do not have an ego strong enough to do it, you will invoke that change through something else. How do you get someone to stand up if they're comfortable? You make it uncomfortable for them to sit down. How do you do that? Do you use physical force? You could, or you could insert propaganda into their mind. You could take a protein shell of propaganda, place pride on the outside, insert that protein shell into them in a sentence. The sentence would explode because they have no choice but to be permeable to their ears because they're contagious. Ears are contagious because propaganda is a signal, and that signal would come in just like love would come in, and it would change you. You would start to doubt. You would start to be mad. You'd start to call me cunt. You'd start to wonder, how come why are you taking this away? And I'm taking this away because vaccine is not your scapegoat. Stop it. Stop it. You're ruining this for everyone. You're already trying to say DNA doesn't exist, and we literally have pictures. Stop listening to people saying we don't. We literally do. Fucking Google it. This shit is not hard. You can do the same thing with rabies. If you want to say rabies isn't a virus, you're going to have to admit when you go to the Allen Institute that for whatever reason there's something that looks and behaves exactly like what we would call a virus, and it does in fact infect the hippocampus, that it does in fact penetrate and trace every single neuron, and that we're able to trace a phosphoric glow to that, and we're able to build an atlas of the entire brain in under a minute, by the way. And if rabies doesn't exist, then we have this other thing that does exactly what rabies does, but we just can't call it the virus, which is why it's the virus formerly known as rabies. It's the protein shell formerly known as rabies. It is the antisome, the exosome formerly known as rabies. You have to still account for that. And the only thing you can do is call me cunt. That's all you can do. What choice do you have? I just showed you love is contagious. So what's wrong with being contagious? Why is being contagious so bad? You will change the world by being contagious. You will change the world through propaganda. Not truth. Propaganda. The outermost layer of every conspiracy theorist is an epidermis of doubt. A lot of cattle don't have doubt. James, you just call me cattle? Yeah. A lot of cattle don't have doubt. Doubt is a special thing given by your ancestors. Doubt is important. And more importantly, doubt is expensive. Doubt requires a constant flow of calories to be burned every second of every day to give you a field of doubt. When something touches the field of doubt, whether it be a thought, an emotion, or a substance, your doubt comes online, the demon of doubt comes online and says, what the fuck is that? I do not trust it. And this is good. This is a good field. We want this field. You are an electric body. And we've learned the anatomy before we even invented electricity. So we're on a precipice of new things, which is why Aquarius is the seeing of things that used to not be there. You're watching the flow of water, but it's air. This is because it's hidden. And that's why you're in hell. But hell's a good thing, but that's a wholly different thing. You are liquid will, my friends. Liquid will. And your will has surface markers. Your will has cargo proteins. Your will has information inside, and information inside the body is stored in colors called codons. And codons can be repeated, and they have to be repeated in order for them to persist. So a virus is a demon that repeats itself. I'm a virus, I'm a virus, I'm a virus, I'm a virus, over and over and over and over and over again. And the only thing keeping it alive is the liquid will, a hydrophobic shell of liquid computer. The second the hydrophobic shell is broken, the protein shell is broken, that water is erased. The smart water inside the protein shell is now mixing with the other outer environment outside of it, and the virus is broken. It is destroyed. The information is lost to the machine of you. Liquid will changes particles inside you. I'm not making this up. You are pleomorphic. You are pleomorphic. You have the ability to change the shape of who you are. The bacteria, what we call bacteria, have the ability to, I want a new tentacle. And now you've got one. And later on, I don't like this tentacle, and it's gone. That's pleomorphic. Your ego is your pleomorphism. Your electric field, your dolphin dome, the sonaric dome of your dolphin is your pleomorphism broadcasted in electric light all around you. People call it aura. They say, wow, you look great today. Or wow, you look like shit today. You're looking at the pleomorphic ego in all its splendor. And we're just learning this skill because this is the dawn of Aquarius. Beware of the people that are afraid of saying the word Aquarius. They know not what they do. You are the ghost in the machine. I've said this before, but it bears repeating. Every neurotransmitter has exciters and inhibitors. Every gate that you have between every neuron, the billions of neuron connections between your toe and you, have the ability to be hacked by your placebo. Placebo has every opportunity to invade the space between, to implement tiny changes, so that the time the signal comes up to you that your toe is hurting, you now believe that your toe is healing. That thumping that you have in your toe is not pain, it is healing. And you're amalgamating this sound of pain that's thumping, and you're not calling your toe a cunt. You're saying, no, toe, I can feel your pain and I witness you. And the moment you witness something, you measure something. And to measure is to medicate. Medicine is the art of measuring. Look it up. Measuring. And how do we measure? Through witness, which means medicine is just witness. It's just witness. This room is 6 cubits by 12 cubits, would require you to witness every corner, would require you to walk every inch, to traverse its space as if you were applying icing over a cake. Your witness is the icing over the cake. And this is truly the art of medicine because it's holographic, it's pleomorphic. Electricity. Say it with me. Pleomorphic electricity. Thank you. Someone did that. Appreciate it. It's important. Pleomorphic electricity. If you missed the train, last chance. Pleomorphic electricity. You're watching James Drew. Contagion is a sympathetic vibration felt across the room. Fork A resonates and Fork B does too. Why are we listening to people that are going to call you cunt to say there's no gain of function? Music is a gain of function. Love is a gain of function. Attraction is a gain of function. Curiosity is a gain of function. Peculiarity, suspiciousness is a gain of function. All of these are gain of functions. You are permeable. Deal with it. Your underwear has holes. It has holes. The first vaccine was an Egyptian clapper. I love this. An Egyptian clapper. They were big into wands like this. Magic wand, Egyptian magic wand. I wrote about this in Technology of Belief, by the way. It's a book you could buy. You could buy it. You could buy it and you could read it. You go, oh my God, this book's good. Then every time you'd see it, you'd remember all things we talked about, and it would invigorate you. It would be a talisman in your house. Yeah, would it help me? Of course it would. Let me do more free shows. Yeah, and use it to lick more brains. Yeah, Technology of Belief. I go into all this. The magic wand. I don't know why more people don't do this in movies, but I need you to picture that Egyptians walked around with like a holster, like playing in the Wild West. And what they pulled out was a wand. It's typically made out of ivory. If you were really rich, you might make it out of hippopotamus. If not, you might make it out of bone. Whatever you could find. Sometimes wood. And you keep this thing, you keep it holstered and you carve things into it. I've been studying these for years. It seems like, I'm not saying this is across the board because it's not, but it seems like half the wand is like good magic and the other half the wand is bad. And that the Egyptian, imagine that you are just walking down the street and instead of being in the Old West when people are carrying guns, they're packing wands. And that when you pull that wand out, the bearer needs to know which end they're pointing at you and which end they're pointing at them. I can't prove this, but this is really what I think. That I know this because when you start to look at the inscriptions on some of these things, it seems like there's always, not always, this is why I can't say it's across the board, but it seems like there's this constant sense of the left is for good magic, the right is for bad magic. So what was the first vaccine? You ready for this? The first vaccine was music. Egyptian music. On the screen is a Hathor clapper. These are magical wands, but are carved in a certain way to make a sound. And they're carved in a way to not only make a clacking sound, but they're carved in a way that the clacking sound comes from the delicate fingers of Hathor herself. That Hathor is invoking her magic through sound. If you go outside and there's a bear, you're camping, you walk out of the tent and there's a bear. If it's a grizzly bear, you're not here, so we don't have to talk about that. But if it's a black bear, you are going to probably instinctively make a sound. You're going to take a metal pan and you're going to take another metal pan, you're going to clack them together. And when you do something, this really powerful beast who, honestly, let's face it, like takes dumps larger than your children, runs away. Runs away. The bear runs away when you go clang. Clang. You don't run away. The bear does. What do you think's happening? This is medicine. It's medicine because you are invoking a kind of magic. Magic is medicine, which you're about to see. Especially if you read the article, you'll really understand the clinical part of what I mean by it's clinical. I'm telling you this clinically, that medicine is magic. I don't mean this like, there's esoteric ways to say it too. Nothing wrong with that. But this is a really clinical thing. You have ego about the sound. You have ego about the sound because you made the sound before. That's one. Two, you actually feel like you're the one making the sound. I have to say feel like because, guys, we don't really know what's going on. And I don't want you to embrace that the fascism. So, number one, you bang them together and you've heard it before. Number two, you feel like you're the one making the sound. Let's just say you're making the sound. This could be too complicated. Okay. Number two, you're the one making the sound. Number three, you have confidence that this is going to make the bear afraid. Okay. These are 3 levels of electrical magic that come from the invoking of the sound of those things, from the clapping of those things. You see how this works? It's just so ubiquitous that you're missing it. I don't mean you personally, but I mean like, the proverbial you, the you. We're missing it. The same way we're missing placebo. It's the exact same way we're missing placebo. And here it is. This is the first vaccine. I call it vaccine because it's cow medicine. It's cow medicine inserted through the ears. It penetrates subcutaneously because it vibrates into your bones. And your bones elicit what? T cells. Some of you are like, well, James, I'm ashamed to say, but they told me there were no such thing as T cells too, because the body doesn't even have an immune system. Because not only did they say I can't have vaccines, but they also said that I can't have DNA, and they've also said that I can't use the word immune system anymore. I'm not making this shit up. This is what they're doing. They're twisting everyone's head off. They're twisting it all. Do you know why? Because ultimately, vaccines is the ultimate scapegoat. If you are not willing to come to grips with your egoic power, you're going to need something like vaccines to blame or thank for the medicine that you receive. It's going to be, everything is resting on that. And that's the Trinity of Hathor. It's a very special, this is why it's 3 parts magic. It's 3 very different magics that are converging into a very special shape. That shape is built into our belief. Guys, synchronicity is the crystals of the universe. Synchronicity crystallizes, and we see these crystals, and they shine and they sheen. These are belief textures, transactions. You find these crystals, you level up your torque. You lose these crystals, you drop them. Right? Thank you so much, Portal Finder. Appreciate that. Egyptian wand magic making crafts night. Yeah, this is real stuff. And you do this too intuitively. You decorate your rearview mirror. You decorate your key ring. You hang a talisman on it. More importantly, you know when it's not. Last week I suggested to you guys that you embrace your PIN number. Invoke change. Next time you have a cold, change your PIN number. Say, I don't like the way I'm living. I'm going to change my PIN. James, how does change your PIN number? Because every time you have to enter your PIN number, you're like, oh, wait, it's a different PIN. Boom. You have no choice. You have no choice. You're bringing this up. So the temples were protected through the clapping. And it makes sense because if there are giants around, remember the definition of giant is a feral human. We've talked about this. The acorn eaters, that they didn't have no taste buds because they didn't have the electrical olfactory necessary in this frontal lobe, which hopefully we'll get to in a slide. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. My name is James True. You're watching James True Live. Here's more of this once. I want you to see this guy up close. Hippopotamus ivory wand in size representing of deities is from the 12th dynasty. And I want you to see one thing, and I know that I'm always perverted. I'm about to be perverted again, but I need you to see this because we're going to come back to it. Look at this. This is a dude with a cobra biting his penis. And he's got 2 other cobras wrapped around each of his legs. And he's holding them. He's got the face of Hathor and the mane of a lion. And he's got nipples. He's got boobies. This is not the only one. Guys, I know that I'm perverted, but I did not just find the one piece. This dude is all over. This is a very common dude. We're going to do a whole show about him later. I purposely don't want to tell you about it right now. This is a different one. It looks like the same one because it's almost the same drawing. It's not. This is a completely different one, same dude. Same dude, cobra penis dude, right? These are invocations. This is another example of the left is for healing. This is Thoth and memory. This is the whole snake. Here's Baphomet maybe invoked, the Khnum invoked, the double crown, the royalty, so the royal sense of healing. You've got the scarab of regeneration right in the middle. Right in the middle where you'd hold this thing. Then you've got these 2 heads, right? One's facing this way, one's facing that way. Guys, I'm not an expert at all, but this is the breaking apart of apoptosis, the breaking apart of the snake. All these are the separation of these things. The lion is typically the one that devours, that removes. So in my mind, this is the negative part of this, and this is the pointy end at your bad guys, and this is the pointy end at your good guys. And you would need this. You would need both. You would need both. Please educate yourself more on Egyptian. I'm not an expert in any way. But these are the demons we build. We build these demons through ego. We take ego and we're like, all right, we're going to need a neutrophil. And we invoke the neutrophil. We invoke the neutrophil inside of us. We draw a salt circle. There's sodium in your body. You draw a salt circle inside the most sacred church, which is your bones. And your bones secrete all these demons. These are demons that we've learned over the years. Some are so ubiquitous that we call them the innate immune system. And if you don't, if you're on the edge, I want you to come back because you need all these things. You need these demons. They've gotten you this far. Please don't let someone call you a cunt and talk you out of having an immune system. Please don't. Please understand this is important. Macrophagy is one of these. It's down here on the left. This is a demon of death. It's a demon of death. These things are here. We call them, they're cleansing the body, but they're not. They're listening to calls. They're listening. They're the doula. They're asking those that need it, who needs me? And we call out and we say, I'm ready to die. And the macrophagy comes. This is a very special demon. You're going to need all these. Please don't deny the power of yourself. This is the ego's flower living inside your body. And these are all its tentacles. There are more. There's so much more. You're making them right now. Yes. I don't know if you're referring to me of what we just said, Richard, but yes, this is sigil magic too. If you do not have these words, they don't have to be right. If you do not have some sort of icon to relate to, you will never have a holographic place to touch the mouse to click on. These are holographic shortcuts into your body. And when you invoke them with a clean ego that is free of sarcasm, your body listens to Zeus. But I don't want to be Zeus. I know you don't. But you will. You'll get there. We all are. Synchronicity is a placebo boost. It is. When you see synchronicity in the world, you begin to build some of these demons. These demons happen when you see synchronicity because, quite frankly, you're saving calories. Synchronicity is the effect of feeling that you're saving calories. You're saving calories when your egoic bubble matches the world. When you're in flow state, when you are in a certain place, you start to understand these things, and you gain from their calories. I don't want you to be embarrassed by using sarcasm either, Zephyrilus. I think that when you invoke magic, I think you need to enter into the state of the fool. I've thought a lot about this. I'm going to take a minute to talk about this. I think that when you're going to use sarcasm, I think you need to do it with intention, and I think you can still do it. The problem is that when we're surrounded by sarcasm so much and fascism so much, that it just slips into the normal vernacular, that you start, I think, this is just me. What the fuck do I know, right? I'm a cunt. But you start to mix up the will that you're invoking in the blood cells. So embrace your sarcasm under the avatar of fool. Not like derogatory. Fool's pretty powerful. The fool, wears the gestures mask, but says something serious. That's what I mean. I hope that helps. Not that you're asking for help. You'll figure it out. You already have figured it out. Sigils are vessels. Blood runs through vessels. Sigils are blood. Sigils are blood. They're a holy cross, a holy circle. They're shaped like a circle. They have no nucleus because they're meant to hold will, liquid will, like we talked about words before. So are words. Words are blood cells. Every word carries an amplitude of the best and worst times you heard it. That's why we say awesome. That's why we say cool. The words don't matter as much as the limbic resonance that we had when we first heard them. So when someone says, "Oh, that is squigglio," and okay, let me take some. That is squaggles. Man, that is some squaggle right there. See, I didn't say it right. But if I could introduce the word squaggle and it would take off, as long as the limbic input that's behind it is felt and resonated, as long as all of us agree. And whoever's hip usually is the one who determines this because their confidence is conveyed behind the acoustic protein shell of the propaganda that it betrays. Yeah, it betrays it. Propaganda is in everything. And you're living in a world that speaks in sarcasm that pretends that propaganda doesn't exist. Do you see what I mean, Zephyrilus? This is what I mean, why you have to be careful. That's all. You will use all these tools, including the ones of death. Sarcasm would just simply be the fermentation of that. Alcohol is not wrong if you understand that alcohol is death, is fruit reborn. It is the undead fruit. Alcohol is only wrong when you just think it's fruit, right? If you understand that this is the undead fruit, you use it for its medicine because you will pull more torque from your understanding of it. It's not going to betray you. We don't have to get into this. I told a really funny. This is the Cairo on the right. Constantine saw the Cairo in the sky. Constantine invoked the medicine of his vision. The sigil was placed on everyone's shield. Everyone took that shield and their spines grew taller because they believed in Constantine's vision. And Constantine saw the Chi and the Rho together, which means Constantine was the world's first Chi-Rho practitioner. He was a chiropractor. Thank you very much. You guys can buy my new comedy special. Download it today. It's called James. That really wasn't that funny. Salt. Why do we pour salt in a circle? Right? A lot of, I hate that I ridicule this, but a lot of soft magic. I don't like people that want to say that magic is harmless, okay? I don't like people that are like magic is safe. I'm sorry, I just don't like that. I don't think magic is safe. That's what, and I'm a dogma. I'm a cunny dogma. I don't think that magic is safe. And I don't like people that are pretending that magic is safe. And when you think about salt, I think we've got it backwards. We think that we have a salt circle so we can be protected. No, you're not protected. You're fucking doing magic. Are you kidding? You're not protected. And if you think you're protected, you're ruining the entire pyramid of medicine. The entire purpose of maladaptation means that you are not protected. You do not want to be protected. No. But you do want a salt circle. Do you know why you want a salt circle? Because salt is memory. And when you have a barrier of memory, you could think about it like an aurora borealis of memory. And that does create a seal. And that seal is, remember I told you it's a bilipid hydrophobic protein shell with information inside? So when you invoke magic like this, you are turning yourself into a virus. You are invoking the demons inside of you. Someone should be going, holy shit, James, this blows my mind, because this is what you're doing. You're making one of these. You're making a basophil. You're making a neutrophil. You're making a mast cell, a natural killer cell, a memory T. You're making natural killer cells. No, you're not, James, because there's no such thing as the body never is in fight. And it's like you can watch a macrophagy work. It is piranha. It is beautiful. Piranha. That's prana. That's prana with a purr. That's a kitty prana, right? This is orca consciousness, guys. It's hard to imagine that death is medicine, but it is. It's a demon that you invoke. So salt is important. This is why we live in drywall. Drywall is salt. It gives us a quiet barrier where the memories cannot come through. And when we build the memories in our home, the salt keeps them in, not because we're safe, but because it keeps the other memories from being able to permeate this layer of salt that's there. Same thing for bricks. That's why we have brick homes. It's got salt in it. What is the FDA pyramid? What's at the top? Safety. What's after safety? Intellectual property. What's after intellectual property? Efficacy. Effectiveness is on the third tier. And sadly, effectiveness is on the third tier, and it's beyond safety. And if you understand the hypocrisy of the Hippocratic Oath, that's not a coincidence. That's a free ego boost. But the Hippocratic Oath is hypocritical because it insists that the only medicine they can do must have no harm. And to remove the harm from medicine is to mute the power of medicine itself. I'm sorry. Some of you are like, how dare you suggest that? Medicine is good vibes and magical honey poultice, and it is. But then there's like deep medicine. There's like fucking effective medicine. There's the evolutionary medicine that got you to stop being a gay frog. You went from a gay frog to a heterosexual frog. It was only later when Alex Jones told you that you turned back into a gay frog. You actually started that way. It was heterosexual medicine, deep maladaptation, deep pain, deep intrinsic death and destruction that made you go, I need to grow a tentacle that's got a little hole in it, and I need some magic juice to come out of the hole, and I need to find another one who agrees with me, and they need to make a hole, not a tentacle, and they need to take my magic. It's just like, that's all maladaptation. It is so important that the FDA places labels on things because of how powerful placebo is. This is a law. It's a felony. It's a felony for you to try and claim that you have magic that the FDA doesn't own. And I need you to know that this supplement facts is a deep spell, but it's so ubiquitous you don't notice it. When you read this, it is a protein shell of propaganda that invades you through your retinal wall. The membranes in your retina are susceptible to information because you, like a fool, I love you, baby, but like a fool, you decided to learn language. You're like, oh, fuck, I learned words now. And now you're open. You're open to the medicine on the street. And that's good medicine and bad medicine. It's poetry and it's warning labels. An important function of the DLPFC is the executive function. This gives you working memory, cognitive flexibility, planning, inhibition, and abstract reasoning. This is the cortex, the prefrontal. This is the Prometheus, the part in your mind that is there to predict the future. The behavioral task that is most strongly linked in the DLPFC is the combined A, not B, delayed response task. This is actually Boolean, by the way, in computer programming. This is how you sort a list, in which the subject has to find a hidden object after a certain delay. This task requires holding information in the mind, working memory, which gives you the ability to lie and the ability to tell the truth. All of this comes from this orbital frontal, ventrolateral, dorsolateral, and cortex prefrontal tumor. Tumor. The part you see in blue is why we have a sapien. The extra sapien is strapped on to who we are, to our species, because we grew this blue thing. All animals have it. I'm really simplifying this. It's just ours is so much larger. It really is correct to say it's just a giant tumor. So therefore, if you want to backtrack, Homo sapien goes like this. Homo is id. Sapien, the first sapien, is your hind brain. That's Epimetheus, by the way. And then later, Homo sapien is the growing of the forebrain, your Prometheus. Epimetheus named all the animals because he's the animal brain. Prometheus saved something for fire because it's the human brain. The only thing that lies is the only thing that fortune tells. The only thing that fortune tells is the only thing that utilizes the crystals of synchronicity to find its way in the dark. Placebo effect in the pharmacological treatment of uncomplicated benign prostatic hyperplasia says that the maximal effect of placebo, approximately 40% reduction in symptom scores, is purely attributed to placebo. Not only that, but after this placebo effect stabilizes, it gradually wears off following a 12-month treatment. Placebo is 40%, has an efficacy of 40% to remove symptoms, and placebo starts to fall after 12 months. 40%, 12 months. Surgery has 45%. Chemotherapy 28%. Radiotherapy 27%. The maximum effect of placebo is 40%. Surgery is 45%. The FDA has spent over 100 years fighting to keep these treatments exclusive and proprietary, and it's not because they're evil. Okay, they're evil, but that's not the only reason. It would require us to agree. Why do we agree? Because we are fledglings. We hate our ego. Requires way too much responsibility, and quite frankly, we don't want that responsibility. We want to blame someone because we've been using pharmacopoeia for a long time. What is that? It's ancient Greek scapegoat. The medicine of whichever one of us has a wart, we're going to burn him today so we can all feel better. And people are like, wait. Let me get my uncle here because he's got a bad ankle. It's like, uncle, rub the dwarf. with your ankle. Take your ankle and kick the dwarf in the ass as we lead him out of town, because he's our scapegoat. And this medicine is just as powerful as Hathor. It's based deep inside of you, so it makes sense that the ancestor who's afraid of change, who's embracing fascism, would take something like the ego, where you're leaving the species of Homo sapiens sapien and you're stepping into the I am, the literal Greek meaning of the word ego, the I-ness. So the self itself is the angelic rising out of the zodiac into the permeability of you. So you're going to need language so you can infect others. You would need language to infect others, because if you do not infect others, they will infect you. You're mastering the sword. You're not afraid of it. The only evil sword in the world is the one that has no master. Do you understand what that means? The only evil sword in the world has no master. By definition, this is true. It would be impossible for you to master a sword and for that sword to remain evil. You could be evil as you will the sword, sure, but your mastery of it could never be. Your mastery is placing the reflective metal and aligning it with your will, which means you're powering your will with the sword, which is why sword's an air sign, which is why sword has this magical connotation. I told you what ego is. Society calls it false self that must be destroyed. Society calls ego a cunt. But ego is gasoline. Ego is the ability to hold more than one reality. This is what I mean by lying. If you're trying to order something, you're remembering that I looked under that card and I saw a bumblebee, and if I look under this card, there's a bumblebee, and so I'm remembering, which is a false reality, in the sense of you're trying to hold something that real that you can see that's not there. So lying and memory are the same. They're the same. It's so hard because you have such a negative connotation about lying. But the universe brought me here in this vessel called James True. That's not a made-up name. Precisely so I could talk to you about lies. This would be the only way that you would be able to start to look at lies in a friendlier way, is through the vesicle called James True. I'm a demon, bitch. You fucking made me. You placed me. You pulled me out of the bones of your femur and say, James True, infect me. I need to understand what lying is. And here I am. Here I am telling you what lying is. The will comes online at puberty. That's weird. This is the same time the immune system goes full. The body's cells are generating enough agency to exude propaganda from their cellular wall, and that propaganda is, I'm a soccer player named Chet. I'm in the band. I play trombone. This propaganda is exosome, extracellular vesicles, and virus. It's all the same. Propaganda is emanating inside you because you're your king. You're the pharaoh, bitch. Ego is a bilipid layer of electrical tension. Ego is a psychic fat that forms a bubble around the layer bounded by a fear of water. This fear forms a surface tension that is permeable to propaganda. That's all it is. You get why we hate it. You get why we hate it. This is scary. I can't trust my ego. I'm going to lie to myself. I'm going to create an entire universe inside where everyone's a cunt but me. And I'm like, yeah, that's why you're afraid of ego. That's why. So if you want to get better at your ego, ask yourself who you're calling cunt. Who are you doing that to? Sorry I keep saying that word. But it's propaganda. It's a virus, right? And when Jamie gave me that label, it's inside. And I'm like, I will use this. I'm going to use this to learn. I've got this cunt demon inside of me. And I'm letting my immune system play with it. And I'm like, yeah, this is why you'd be afraid of ego. This is why you would respond so harshly to a post about love. This is why you get so angry when I tell you, but love is just as contagious as virus. Love has the same gain of function as virus, but love is here. I can infect you with love. You can infect me. I can infect you with cunt. You can infect me. Contagion's real. Why are we saying it's not? Oh, because we said genes weren't real, and we said viruses aren't real, and we said that all these other things are real. What else are you going to fucking do, man? There's no such thing as an immune system. Meanwhile, those same people that are telling you not to ingest poisons are selling you DMSO. DMSO is poison. Turpentine is poison. So ask yourself, who are you listening to? Because it better not be me. I've been manifested in your mind as a fucking demon to get you to think about ego. So don't be blaming this on me. I ain't your scapegoat. That ain't gonna happen. No, sir. Will is exchanged through the body. through several mechanisms, all rely on propaganda to thrive. It doesn't rely on truth, it relies on propaganda. Propaganda. The killer cell's like, I need to kill things. The macrophagy is, someone wants to die and I can feel them. This is propaganda. And we send it out, we invoke these demons, we want them to live, but not too long. We want them to thrive, but not too much. We're going for the delicate balance. And propaganda is going to be based on how much you need to propel something is based on how far you need it to go. This is truly the art of what propaganda means. It's shuffleboard. You are shuffling viruses across the stage. If modern medicine is real and placebo is fake, why are modern painkillers losing their effectiveness the same rate as placebo? Why? Why does Valtrex stop being effective after 12 months? I don't know what Valtrex is, but that's some kind of drug. Why does, insert any drug that you've heard of on a commercial, why does Wellbutrin stop helping with depression as much as it used to after 12 months? Why does placebo stop being effective after 12 months? I mean, they're different, right? They're totally different, right? One is real medicine, one's this fake shit that we call flaccid. We just use placebo. We're like, hey, dictionary, what's like the shittiest, most flaccid word you can come up with? And dictionary's like, but placebo? And we're like, yeah, that's what I want to call my power. I want to call all my power of flaccid tentacle. You might as well call it flaccid tentacle. Ask your doctor about flaccid tentacle today. Are you not feeling well? Because if you invoke your flaccid tentacle, you might feel okay today. Guys, it's a racket, but that doesn't mean that it's evil. It's a racket because there's a market. Oh, James, don't blame me again. Yes, it's a racket because there's a market. It's a racket because there's a market. Why is there a market? Because people are having trouble firing up their ego. They need you. They need you to go out there and defend the ego. They need to watch your spine in the face of being called names. They need to watch your spine in the face of doubt and the things that are scary, and they need to watch how you handle it, and they will handle it too. And until you do, they're going to run away. They're going to run away. Placebos are extraordinary drugs. They seem to have some effect on almost every symptom known to mankind and work in at least a third of patients and sometimes up to 60%. A third of patients. You guys know that even medicine doesn't work the same on everyone. Some people have chronic diarrhea. Other people suffer from sudden amputation syndrome. That's where your arm just falls off. Some people develop leprosy, right? Other people have weakened stool. And the whole time you're like, well, wait a minute, what? If medicine's fascism and all of us are supposed to work magically off one pill or one vaccine, then why are some people having certain effects and other people aren't? And the answer is nothing. The answer is cunt. How dare you doubt me? Not one of us is willing to come back to placebo. Not one of us is willing to come back and say, hey, let's have a health forum with Alex Zek, but let's not invite someone who wants to fucking talk about belief. Because what we have to talk about is how vaccines are evil. What we have to talk about is there's no such thing as an immune system. There's no such thing as DNA. And we're just going to deny the shit out of everything, even though it's not true, even though we know it's not real. And when people go to these things, they come back and they tell me, I went and the vibe just didn't feel real. And I'm like, yeah, no shit. No shit. And if you would have said something that they disagreed, you would have been Kunta. The Kunta Punta, Pleomorphism, baby. Unitas, Trinitas. The three and the one and the three. This is the power of vaccines. It's showing you the sacred circle of tradition, that's Hathor. Reflectivity, that's metal. And ancestral magic. Make sure I got this right. Excuse me. We learned a lot today. Yeah, psychological, ancestral, and metallic. Reflection, psychology, history. This is three-pronged torque. The three-pronged torque, right? Three prongs. I thought DNA was placebo. I guess, but we're going to have to why are we finding killers through chasing familial DNA? A. B. Why does mitochondrial DNA, why are each of us keeping a separate copy? Why are we allowed to unfold those codons and see the same code if it's not real? I guess we're creating it on the spot, which is fine. But if we're creating it on the spot, then wouldn't we want to incorporate into a similar mythology so we could holographically change it? Do you see? I'm not trying to talk you into it, but this is why I think that we're getting into the flaw of believing that anti-something is something. The anti-zome is nothing. It's the Hegelian dialectic, and I'm not saying that to be trite. I think the Hegelian dialectic is a very powerful thing. But please hear this if you have the patience, or if you have the ego, I should say. If you have the calories for this, please hear it, because you're going to have to think Hegelian dialectic is actually good, because it's just a method of thought. Hegel wasn't interested in controlling you. Hegel wanted to know what controlled him. So the Hegelian dialectic would be thesis, all vaccines are good. That's thesis. Antithesis, all vaccines are bad. So where are you? Because one is thesis, one is antithesis. One is antithesis, and then the solution is synthesis. I don't think a lot of us are at synthesis yet. And honestly, COVID-19 is going to make it hard for anyone to want to leave, because they really like thesis and they really like antithesis. I'm using it as thesis because thesis is actually a god. Thesis is actually a god. Lady Justice is the splitting of thesis. The believe it or not, the scales are actually the balance between, look, chance is going to tell you you're going to be a male or you're going to be a female. You're born into the thesis, the separation of the hermaphrodite. I don't have time to go into this. There's a stream about this that explains the origin of thesis. This is legit. However, if you're going to follow the Hegelian dialectic, you would find thesis unpopular, the thesis that all vaccines are good. And then if you were to continue to finish the triangle of your thought, of your belief, you would then go to the next point, which would be antithesis. But you still don't have a triangle yet. You have a line. It would only be when you synthesize both those things that you decide what's real. I can't tell you what's real about vaccines, because how you feel about it is going to be the largest factor when you see the subcutaneous ritual unfold. When you hear the name, you're invoking Hathor. If you don't know these things, that's fine, because you're a child, you're too young. But the ancestral, the cerebral, all logic is just the cerebellum. So all ancient mysticism is in the cerebellum too, which means you would invoke Hathor the same way. Epigenetic wisdom is epigenetic belief. These are the same things. But if you don't believe in DNA, then I need you to come up with a really clever way of explaining how we memorize these things, because colored codons is pretty fucking cool way of looking at it. Especially when it keeps finding information in the field. Ancestry is pretty interesting. Origin points, familial stuff. And if you want to poke holes in DNA, I think you should. But also, I think you need to also give some props to the people that have told you about transposons, because they're the ones that have actually said, look, DNA is not perfect. They're the ones that told you that transposons mean there's almost like a matrix, a liquid curtain that runs through DNA that changes it in real time. And isn't this just what I was telling you about the demons in your body that are waiting for the synapses to change? That just like inside of our neurons we are hackable, that we would be hackable inside our epigenetics too? Wouldn't we want that? And yet here it is. We have DNA that almost makes us feel deterministic, as if everything is fate, but it's not, because 40% of our DNA is changed by transposons in our lifetime. We are 40% erased. And it ends up, I think, becoming this really powerful way of cleaning, because you're asking yourself, hey, I need you to decide what's important. You're the avatar of your life, so I need you to decide what's important right now. What is it about this right now that you need? And so you review your ancient logic. You review your ancient cerebellum for the wisdom, the mysticism. What you're looking for is what placebo was really bringing me the most torque. And you're keeping it. And you're looking at what placebo brought you the lack of torque, and you're dismissing it. And so you end up with a bubble made out of triangles. And these triangles are built from thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Now you have a triangle. And it's belief. I didn't say it's real. I said it's a triangle. It's flat. It looks like it's solid. I don't need this to be solid, guys. That's why I'm winning. Sorry. But that's why my theories are working out. It's because I don't have a fascism about it. I don't have an objectivity about it. I literally think that I'm here building an illusion, and that illusion is what keeps me healthy. It's not this solidity. I'm gaining zero from the fact that I'm trying to believe that outside of my illusion, there's some realness that's like promising me, it's okay, James, you can do it. No, I have no training wheels. This is my only shape, and it's flat. It's not even tangible. It's simply perceptible. Triangles are perceptible, not tangible. Do you understand that? They're perceptible, not tangible. And I build these triangles around me, and when you see me, you see a facade. And if you penetrate that facade, you see another facade. And if you penetrate that facade, you see another facade. And I just told you about my aura. Oh, James, don't tell me about your aura. Yeah, man. Kabbalah. We'll get into that next time. No offense to anybody. Sorry for being a cunt. I was just disappointed because I really thought that that we could have dialogue about viruses, and we can't. I can't find anyone who wants to dialogue about that. I can find people that want to hate and get very angry because I'm giving compassion to things that they don't want to see. That's their immunity. And that immunity is theirs. They get to build it. And I shouldn't be someone who's trying to destroy it. However, I'm also an entertainer that puts on a show, and you're expecting me to challenge and do exactly what I'm doing. So it's a really delicate balance. I don't want anyone to have shame for where they are on the trellis. That would be me failing. I would be failing you if I was to shame you on the trellis. However, I do want to encourage you to grow. And I would encourage you to grow for selfish reasons. I think that if more people would let go of the fascism, of there can be only one natural law, there can be only one non-virus, there can be only one answer for all these things, to me that's retarded. To me that's the most dangerous thing in the world. It's not Fauci. It's people living on the extremes, pretending to understand things that they don't. Pretending to insist that there are people that are willing to read an 8-minute article by someone named James True who has a different take, that are willing to just put a little bit of calories into compassionating what it takes for every egoic bubble to exist. All medicine is ego, my friends. Every bit of it, I swear. Yes, you can be amputated. That's not medicine. Yes, you can go into battle and have half your body ripped off. That's not medicine. We're not talking. That's evisceration. It's a different thing. So it's always the people that are saying, well, if it doesn't exist in every single part, if this isn't proved for every single person, it's not real. And that's never, ever, ever, nor will it ever, ever be the case. It's just not, you know. Check out my article on Substack. Please let me know in your comments. I'd love to know what you think about this, about these ideas. And if you think I can improve on being less, less cunty, let me know. See you next time with James Drew. Thank you.